Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Chai Knuckles Knitting, and this is episode 2022-33, Harlow Worsted Decrease Round. So I'm working on the Harlow Worsted hat, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and I'm about to begin the crown shaping, and that involves a decrease round. And so I am beginning that right now, and the instructions say, using main color, yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, bark one 3 times. Then yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, bark 4 stitch decrease. And then do a yarn forward, slip one, yarn over, bark one 2 times. And then repeat that whole business all the way around. And what we'll be doing is decreasing by 16 stitches, because each decrease stitch we do is going to actually take away 4 stitches. So we're going to be doing that decrease 4 times around the hat, and so that will take away 16 stitches. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'm going to be working with my main color. My contrasting color is in the front now, left in the front from the last round, and I'm ready to start working with my main color. So I'm going to start out with a yarn forward, slip one yarn over, and bark, and I'm told to do that 3 times. So that's 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then it says yarn forward, slip one yarn over, so that's this. And then it's telling me to do a bark 4 stitch decrease. Okay, so in order to do this decrease, we're going to be using the next 5 stitches. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, 5. Yep, that little guy was hiding back there, wasn't it? So it's going to be a slip, one, so a stitch in its hood, a plain stitch, stitch in its hood, plain stitch, stitch in its hood. And so in the instructions in the pattern, Andrea labels these stitch 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the very first step that we do, so we did a slip one yarn over here, and we're ready to start the decrease on this stitch. It's a stitch with its hood. So we slip the stitch knitwise onto the right hand needle. So this first stitch and its hood, we're going to slip knitwise onto the right needle. And then we're going to do the same thing with stitch 2. Stitch 2 is a plain stitch. We're going to slip that one knitwise onto the right hand needle. And then for step 3, we're going to slip the 3rd stitch and its hood onto a removable stitch marker, and we're going to hang it in front of our work. So we're going to let that actually drop off the needle, and we're going to let this stitch in its hood hang off onto the front of the work. So stitch 4 is now the next stitch on the needle. This is a plain stitch. And we're going to knit that stitch. So we slipped stitch number 1 knitwise, slipped stitch number 2 knitwise, put stitch number 3 on a removable stitch marker in the front, knit stitch number 4, and now the fun starts. We're going to pass the 2nd stitch, which is this one here that we slip knitwise, because this is 1 And be careful too, because this is the slip one yarn over you did before the whole decrease. Okay, so don't get that confused with stitch 1 here that you slip knitwise, stitch 2 here that you slip knitwise. This is stitch 4. So we're going to lift stitch 2 over stitch 4. Okay, got that? So this is stitch 4 and it's still on the needle. So I'm going to take stitch 4 and put it back on the left hand needle, and I'm going to reach across on the left hand needle and take the next stitch in its hood, which is stitch 5 by the way, and I'm going to pass it over stitch 4 on the left hand needle. So stitch 4 is still on the needle. It's on the left hand needle. So I want to take it back to the right hand needle, and I want to slip past stitch 1 and its hood over stitch 4. So stitch 4 is still on my needle, sitting there. And now I'm going to take stitch 3 and its hood, and I'm going to place them back on the left hand needle and take the stitch marker out. And then I'm going to slip, give me 1 second, and then I'm going to take stitch 4 back to the left hand needle, and I'm going to lift stitch 3 over stitch 4, and then I am done. Okay, we're going to do that again, so don't panic. Do it one more time. So after I do that, the instruction tells me to, I need to put stitch 4 back on my right hand needle to finish everything. And now I'm ready to continue working. My working needle is coming out of the right hand. My working yarn is coming out of the right hand needle right now. Okay, so the next thing the instructions tell me to do is it tells me to do a slip yarn over, yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, bark 2 more times, 1 and 2, and then repeat from the beginning. So it says yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, bark 3 times. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then it says yarn forward, slip 1 yarn over, and then I'm going to start the decrease. Again, this is going to be stitch 1 and its hood, stitch 2, stitch 3 and its hood, stitch 4, stitch 5 and its hood. Okay, so I just finished a slip 1 yarn over here, and I'm going to slip stitch 1 and its hood as if to knit to the right needle, the single stitch 2 to the right needle. Then I am going to take stitch 3 and I'm going to put it on a locking stitch marker, it and its hood, and slip it off the needle and let it hang in the front. Then I'm going to knit stitch 4, and I'm going to lift, stitch 4 is now on the right needle, I'm going to lift stitch 2 over stitch 4. Then I'm going to move stitch 4 back to the left needle and lift stitch 5 over stitch 4. And then I'm going to move stitch 4 over to the right needle and lift stitch 1 over stitch 4. Then I am going to put stitch 3, I'm going to pull that and lift it onto the left needle, whoops, trying not to split my yarn, So put that up on the left needle, take the marker out, put stitch 4 back on the left hand needle, lift stitch 3 over stitch 4, and that finishes the decrease, except that I need to move stitch 4 now over to the right hand needle to proceed. So that's how to do a bark 4 stitch decrease. So thank you for watching. Come back for more. Bye-bye.